You've got $100. You want an amazing microphone for voiceover. A little out of reach. You could just use your credit card. Nope. There are alternatives to super expensive mics. But is it possible to sound like a pro with a microphone that's less than $100?
Which sub $100 mic is best for animation?
What about for commercials? Or maybe narration?
What about promos? Or trailers?
I bought all of these microphones that are each under $100 so that we could listen to them, rank them, and score them to figure out which one comes out on top of the bottom.
News from the booth! Hey villagers, welcome back to the VoiceOver Village. I'm Rick McIver, your village idiot and self-diagnosed gear slut. Hang on a second, do you hear that? That emptiness, that empty, reverby, echoey sound? Yeah, that's the sound of my empty wallet. Because I bought all these microphones with my own cash, and I don't regret it one bit. I have scoured the internet for all kinds of different resellers, and I've looked through countless YouTube review videos for microphones. And I have selected these 7 mics for our test today.
The Audio Technica AT2020, the Shure PGA 181, Blue Microphones Ember, the Mackie EM-91C, Samson C01, Neat Worker V2, and the MXL's V67G.
So what do all these microphones have in common? Well, they're all condenser microphones. They're all XLR microphones. They're medium to large diaphragm. They're all under $100, and, well, they're all right here, so I can test them. So let's start with the non-performance-based tests. Each microphone will be ranked after each test, given a number 1 through 7, because there's 7 mics. That way it makes sense.
You remember this? This was the data from when I did the booth cooling video. If you haven't seen that video, I'll put a link to it over there. We're going to use this space to show the results of the testing inside. After each test, what I'll do is I'll come out here and we'll rank them 1 through 7, and then I'll reveal the winner after each test. Hot damn.
Okay, for our first test, we're going to do a real-world self-noise test. And this number is published on their, documentation or sometimes on the back of a box, but we're not satisfied with that. So what we have to do in this kind of test is actually enclose the microphone in a soundproof environment, like a small, contained, soundproof box that has a special port that I can run the cable in and out that will allow the microphone to be in a completely quiet space. Kind of like Bandrew's Box of Doom. I bet I can find one of those on Sweetwater. Yeah, I could. Fine. Jeez.
We have negative numbers here. The higher the negative number, the lower the noise, if that makes sense. Well, if it doesn't, that's what it is. The clear winner here, overall, was the AT2020, first place. The worst one is going to be the Mackie at negative 48. Yikes. And here's how the rest of them rank. There are the results. We'll put that in our spreadsheet, and we'll keep going.
Just tap it in. Just tap it in.
I've set each microphone so they're balanced at the same gain level using a test tone to make sure they're all average. Then I'll tap the desk, I'll tap the boom arm, and I'll tap the mic. We'll look at those numbers, average them out, and put them on the scoreboard. Let's do it. In first place, the AT2020 with negative 27 dB. In last place was the Samson at negative 13 dB.
The others fell in the middle there. I'll put it on the chart. You can take a look at it later.
Our next test is the room rejection test. The noise like computer fans and stuff that happen in a room. Or maybe it's the bouncing off the walls. I had a hard time actually trying to be able to quantify this. So I just went with like the room fan noise kind of rejection. So what I'm going to do is take the microphone and stick it in the middle of the room, turn on my air filter, leave, and measure how much of that fan it picks up. I guess. If someone has a better idea, I'd love to hear it. Put it in the comments. Maybe I'll be able to test it later. Otherwise, let's get to it.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Again, in first place, the AT2020. Remember, the higher the number, the quieter the sound. And again, in last place, the Samson with -52. All these other numbers, I had a tie for third place here between the MXL and the Blue. However, all these numbers will be available for you to look at later. On to the next test. Okay, now on to the Plosive Test. Now, I know I said that these are non-performance tests. And believe me, I looked everywhere for something that could replicate the air sound that comes out of the human mouth. I just couldn't find it. I tried squeaky toys without the squeaker in them. I tried little air cans. I've tried like a hairdryer on-off real quick. That didn't work at all. I can't think of anything that accurately replicates on a consistent basis. I'm going to perform these, and I'll be as even as I possibly can. It's time for Pizza is Perfect with Pineapple on top. Fight me. There's a lot of numbers here, but let me sum it up for you. Basically, without going into too much detail in front of this whiteboard that you can't really see anyway, as far as the amount of plosives that were picked up, the AT2020 won again. It only picked up 2 on the straight address and 1 on the side address, so it gets first place. Then the others fall in line. However, they had some ties here, so you have to go look at that data later. As far as the intensity of the plosive that it picked up, actually the first place to that went to the Blue, the Ember. That one, the numbers here only showed that it only spiked a little. Even though it picked it up, it was just a tiny bit.
Maybe it's a little better if I showed the data like this. Across the board in almost every category, the AT2020 came out on top. I mean, this little $99 microphone is like the Usain Bolt of $99 microphones. Performed well in almost every test. Now, it did get second place in one of the Plosive tests, and it needed a little bit more gain than some of the other mics. But on paper, this is a really good microphone. And so on paper, the top 3 microphones, AT2020, the Neat Worker B2, and the Blue Ember. Overall, these are the top 3 mics. The Worker B2 and Blue Ember were actually 1 point difference, so not too bad. Now, this is just on paper. Really, to make a judgment call, you have to hear these mics. And this is where things get a little subjective. Performance tests are much more subjective for sure, and it's really necessary to actually hear these mics in order to make a judgment call. And I recorded all the performance tests, but if I put them in this video, that would make for a really long video. So what I did is I made a super secret unlisted video. Yeah, just between you and me. I'm going to add the link to that video in the description. So when you're done watching this video, if you want to listen to those microphones in the actual tests, click on that. But wait until we're done with this one first and then go to that one. Keep in mind, I'm in my professionally treated whisper room running with Mogami Gold cables into my Apollo preamps. Your mileage may vary. I mean, if I had a teleporter, then I could just pop over to your house, bring all my microphones, and we could just test them right there at your place. But I don't have a teleporter. They don't even make teleporters. Do they make teleporters? I think I want a teleporter. I'm going to go look on Amazon and see if I can find me a teleporter. Damn it. Well, after all that effort, where do we stand? I edited everything down into that super secret video. Remember the super secret video? Go look at it. After I recorded and edited all that performance footage down, I listened to it. I listened to it a lot. I listened to it on multiple pairs of headphones, at least 4 different kinds of headphones, 2 different kinds of reference monitors. I listened to it in my car. It's been a few days. I know I'm wearing the same stuff, but it's been a few days. So here's my call. The Samson and the MXL are out. And so now we're left with these 5 microphones. Let's talk about the Mackie Element really quickly. It is a hot mic, meaning you don't have to turn it up a lot, but it's also noisy and it's dark. So I think this mic's best use actually is for a podcast guest who's not used to being on microphone. Now, the reason I say that is because a podcast guest isn't used to having the mic right up on them like this, right? So for good sound. This mic is a little more forgiving because it's hotter. You can be a little farther away from it. If you're off axis, it's not that big a deal. It's a little darker, so it's not going to pick up as much mouth noise. I wouldn't use it for voiceover, but it might be good for podcasting. So now we're down to 4. It's March. Here are the final 4. The Neat Worker B2 is flat. It sounds fine, but compared to these other microphones, to me, this one kind of was just, I don't know, dull. It didn't have any life to it. It was clear. It was articulate, but there was just something about it that just didn't draw me in. So I'm putting the Worker B over here. Goodbye, Worker B. Now we're down to these 3. The Blue Ember and the AT2020. A lot of voice actors use these microphones. They're fantastic. They're good on paper, and as general purpose microphones, they're really not bad. Like the AT2020 is a little bit more articulate than the Ember. The Ember is a little bit more forgiving with plosives. It gives you a little bit more of a darker high end. So if you happen to be a sibilant speaker, well, this might be the mic for you. But if you happen to have a lower register like me and you need some more articulation in your sound, the AT2020 might be better for you. But let's talk about the last mic standing here. We're going to put these down on the table. This little PGA 181 surprised the heck out of me. I like it a lot, and I'll tell you why. For the promo and narration stuff where you're right up on the mic and you need that articulation, this had it in spades. For animation, I was able to back off the mic, but it still didn't lose any of that low-end resonance when I was farther away. For commercial, it's well-rounded, but it's punchy. It can punch through music, I think. It's got a fairly good mid-high boost to it. Now, for narration, I probably wouldn't choose this mic. I think for narration, you're better off with something like the Blue Ember or the AT2020. Either one is fine. But this mic surprised me a lot. It's almost on the edge of being too articulate. Almost. So if you are a person who has a voice that has that, higher end, this might not be the mic for you. This might be better. But for me, I really like how it didn't lose that low end. It was able to keep it there. It wasn't too scooped either. It wasn't like it was really pronounced, but it just really surprised me. So, out of all these mics, the Shure PGA 181, I'm going to be putting this into my workflow and seeing how it goes. I really like it. Now, I wish it came with a shock mount because it was really sensitive to the tap test. It is crazy sensitive to plosives, so you got to have a good pop filter in front of it. And I'll do a video about pop filters a little bit later because I got a new one that I absolutely love. I got to tell you all about it. If you're looking for a vibrant, alive, $99 microphone, the 181, I think, is the way to go. So if you're just starting out, this mic might work for you. It's not going to break the bank unless you buy 7 of them. No, I'm not buying any more microphones. yet. So when you do go out and get your new microphone, if this video is helpful, let me know. Leave me a note in the comments. That would be great. I really appreciate hearing from you guys. And if you're looking for scripts to practice with your brand new microphone, I made a video about that. There it is. Thanks for watching, guys. I really hope this has been helpful. Until next time.
This isn't real money.